Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Leminhade back with another Clash video. Today, I'm going to be covering off our CWL in Champion 2 League. You can see on day 1 we matched with GAKU, which is a little bit crazy that he is playing in Champs 2, being a pro player. But what we're going to be doing today is we're going to cover off the attacks that went well and why they went well, and then we're also going to go through some fails as well and talk about how whether it was myself or some of my clanmates could improve their attack. So let's get right into it. All right, the first attack I want to cover today is done by our clanmate Ruiz. He is going to approach up here in this area with his Royal Champion. He's running the drags with 2 healers. We have the increased camp space update at this point, so he has a little bit more cleanup with him. He has an extra headhunter rather than just having mass drags, and he does have a recall spell. So the idea here is to walk your champion, and it's either going to walk to the left here and take out sort of these buildings, or it's going to walk to the right and take out these buildings, and then at some point he's going to recall. And then for the approach, when you're using an air attack, you want to do 2 things. You want to, 1, approach on the backside of a spitter, or at the very least, approach on the backside of a air sweeper. And because he has a blimp filled with Yetis to take out the town hall, he is likely going to approach over this Giga Bomb so that he can ward an ability through that, and his blimp and his army is not going to take any damage, and then that'll also secure the blimp to the town hall to take that out. So that kind of locks in your 2-star here, and this army is pretty strong, so he should be good here. So let's take a look at his attack. Okay, so here's the walk. I would have started further here on this wizard tower, but this is completely fine as well. Let's see his timing here. So his fox goes invisible automatically. There's the extra invis to skip that building, right? Just because the ricochet cannon is super tanky. It's good that he's invising over it so that his RC is not attacking it and just trying to take it down with the aura. His fox goes down pretty early, so what I would suggest to improve there is he can use Shock's timing. Honestly, if you guys are using the Royal Champion charge, there's definitely a fine balance between figuring out, there's a recall, figuring out whether you want to use just like the optimized timing where you're basically dropping an invis at every 56 versus Shock's timing, which is like every 57 and 53 or 52, right? In my opinion, you should be using Shock's timing if your RC is near the town hall or the monolith, and that'll just get you more value out of your RC and your fox. There's a warden ability and the blimp to the core. Another thing to mention is he dropped his RC. Where did he drop his RC? Oh, at the top here to take out these multi. But that's very important, right? When you have the spear on your RC, you should be using your RC at range where nothing can hit it, basically. And that way he's able to hold these 2 invis spells and then use them after when his RC is coming back in to support the rest of the attack. And then you'll notice here to look at those boogers, the boogers off of the new Sneezy pet. That pet is going to be meta for sure. It's definitely going to replace the owl in basically every attack. And I think in any ground smashes where you have a bunch of healers, it's going to replace whatever is on the warden. So if you're running with a diggy or running the lizard, it's definitely going to be replaced by the Sneezy. So for anybody watching, I would highly recommend getting your Sneezy upgraded. All right, let's get into the next attack. All right, the next attack here is done on my alt account, Princess Olivia. And we're going in with the Yeti Might trick that, plagued the game when the Super Yetis had come out, and then a few streamers had figured out like, hey, like, can we not just do the same thing with the Yeti Might? I think Opie has a video on it. Shock definitely has a video on it. I like Shock's explanation the most, just because he explains sort of the do's and don'ts of how to not fail using the attack basically, and how to set your clones. So for me, what I always look for is I look for ground expos or just expos in general, because those will like slowly keep hitting your Yeti, but not like kill your Yeti. So it just gives more time for the Yeti mites to kind of jump out. Versus, you know, dropping the Yeti like close to a monolith or close to like a ricochet cannon. You want to avoid that because ricochet cannons just do so much damage. So like dropping the Yeti like around this area would be very dangerous for the clone approach, right? Because the ricochet cannon could actually kill the Yeti mites before they end up cloning through your chain. So the approach here is, one, look at the range of the expo. It's in range of this elixir collector. I know you try to go for tankier buildings in general for your Yeti, but I figure if I drop my Yeti here, then the Yeti mite will go here, right? Because there's no other defenses next to it. Like there's nothing here, there's nothing here. Yes, there could be Teslas in between, but that's kind of one of the risks you take. Shock will recommend to like bring something to drop, so like a barb or a goblin or something to test for Teslas, just because they can actually ruin the attack. So I should have done that. I did actually bring a barb, but I don't think I even checked it on this one. Anyway, the plan is to drop my Yeti here. We know there's no spring traps because this is actually touching the border of the base, so that's why I don't have to check with a barb for at least a spring trap. And then I'm going to clone on top of this wizard tower. And the whole idea of this attack is you want to get value with your Yeti mites. Usually if you can reach the town hall, which you can in most cases, then you should go for the town hall. So here, basically, if the town hall is not centered, then I would suggest cloning to the town hall. So I'm going to basically go this from here to here to here to here. And then I always rage on the last two clones. And that way it almost guarantees getting the town hall plus the rest of the value. And then the rest of my army is just a bunch of mass drags with my warden and the minion prince. And the approach here that I like to take on that is I like to just enter behind the sweeper. So you can imagine like, okay, these are going to be gone by the time the Yeti attack part is done. So yeah, in theory, like it creates a funnel where you could just enter from this side, but the sweeper is here. So I didn't want to like go straight into this area and then start getting everybody pushed out to the edge. And then, my dragons could like fail on this air defense and this multi. So I'd rather just approach this direction, take those out early. We have a warden with the healing tome, so everybody will just heal back. And we should be able to do fine this raid. So let's go ahead and get into the replay. All right, so here, I want to go at half speed. So look at that. The first clone is here. And then in terms of the spacing, right, you want to overlap. I overlap like quite a lot just because I'm scared to not overlap at all. Just because I was getting familiar with the attack at this point. And you can see the clone mites go pretty crazy. So they take out the whole right side. They take out the town hall here. Do they get this? Oh, yep, they get the multi. Oh yeah, look at that value, 32%. And then we just start our whole army. You run the stone slammer with all air troops inside, and the reasoning for that is because the Yeti mites don't pull the CC. So obviously right now, like unless they're running a CC that hits both ground and air, nothing will come out if you just run a full air CC, including the slammer. So nothing comes out of the CC. I bet there are probably like 3 ice golems in there, and maybe like a headhunter and some like archers or something like that. So just like a good way to avoid the ice golems that are in like 9 out of 10 CC defenses right now. And you can see this is complete overkill. We still have our RC ability here with the hogs and the electro boots. And I've been finding with this attack, almost everything's been overkill. So I think when you want to look for attack to like get better at and be able to crush bases, this is a good one, because even if things go a little bit south, you can still like recover, right? Because generally speaking, you're just overkilling the base really hard. So if you kind of make a few mistakes here and there, you can actually still recover with these kind of attacks. Whereas if you use an attack that is regularly pretty close on 3-starring or tripling the base, then it'll be a lot harder to recover if you do make any mistakes. Okay, gonna jump into one more successful attack, And then we're going to look at a few fails and talk through those and on how those can be adjusted. Okay, for this third attack, I'm going to be covering off, again, another one of my ult attacks here. You can see my ult is just 14th out of 15 in the actual roster. But offensively, I'm attacking number 4 here, just because, you know, my ult does have, I just boost them, and the equipments are near max, if not are max. Let's see. Yeah, just my minion prints. I didn't max that equipment that like spawns the little minions that tank for you. They still get the job done. So here on this approach, we're going in with an RC charge, and you see I have 12 invis. So there's no recall, there's no revive, which means your RC can't die on your walk. Basically, if you don't get value with your RC on your walk, you're a little bit screwed because you can't really walk anything else other than your queen with like a few healers. But they're not going to do the same type of damage to a base that your RC will. So very, very important that you do not let your RC die if you're going with this attack strategy. So on this style of base, it's a big ring around the town hall. So, you know, everybody will tell you like, oh yeah, you have to break the ring or cut the funnel or you know, whatever it is. For me, the goal is basically I just want to get a lot of value. And early on, I want to try and save as many invis as I can, which just means being able to like leverage the Spirit Fox's invisibility timing, right? So let's go into this attack. The approach is going to be on the top side, and we're going to walk either towards this monolith or towards this bottom side, and hopefully grab a spitter if we walk kind of down this way, right? If we just kind of follow this path. Most, if not all, the bases that are like designed this way are going to be designed that your RC shouldn't be like walking to the core. But I'm going to talk about a little trick that happens midway. Of course, you can use some of the extra invis to help re-guide or repath your RC as well if you sort of have that foresight in your plan. But for me, I generally just will use the invis to support my RC to do damage really on the buildings more than anything else. So we approach right on the air defense. That's a good defense to take down, especially with a follow-up of all dragons for the most part. Okay, there's another invis. We're going to rely on the auto invis timing at some point here. Okay, we're going to take down the multi. Then we're going to walk to the left. Okay, and then let's see what we get here. We're going to get the poison tower. Poison towers suck to walk on just because it slows everything down and does damage to you. And keep an eye on the Fox's HP here. The Fox is going to go down pretty soon. Okay, there's the auto invis, and then the Fox is down. So now at this point, when your Fox is down, you have to just keep invising on the 4 count to keep your RC up. Okay. On the ricochet cannon, and then I pop the RC ability, takes out the backside of the fire spitter, which is really good for us. And then here, my RC is actually targeted onto the town hall. I could invest the rage here. I was thinking about it, but then I thought, oh, I didn't know those ice golems might have frozen me up too much. And then what I actually did is I shot the queen arrow from the corner to hit the town hall so that my RC could take it out. And then I just approach with everything in between, just basically spam everything in between. And then my goal here is to use the warden ability over this Gigabomb so that 1, everybody heals back up, and then 2, we don't take any damage from that Gigabomb. I wouldn't say it's like a hard and fast rule to, use the warden ability to protect yourself from the Gigabomb, but I think at that point, like our dragons had hit so many traps and we're tanking the monolith that it made sense. Then we use our minion prince ability to slow down this back end, and the reason why we approach from this side instead of on this side is because this fire spitter is actually facing the other way. So if you approach from this side, because of the funnel that we had created initially, then your dragons are going to fly around the backside of this fire spitter, avoiding that damage completely. And you can see here we have a lot of dragons up. We have 3 Yetis still up. And the reason we have the Yetis on this outside, I didn't mention it, but I ended up using my siege barracks down here. I didn't show it, but instead of blimping the town hall, because the town hall was gone, right? So by using a siege barracks, we gained 2 extra P.E.K.K.A.s, some wizards. It helped with the funnel. there's no point of bringing or using your blimp to the town hall if you've already taken down the town hall with your RC charge. So that's an adjustment that I think everybody should make if they're running this strategy where you have, the initial plan to blimp the town hall. You should bring either a stone slammer to drop it with your dragons to help tank for them, or you can use a siege barracks to help support your queen on the outside. Okay. Next, we're going to jump into some fails throughout the CWL, and we're going to see how those attacks might be improved. All right. So for the first fail that we're going to cover today, it's going to be this one by Chibi's. He goes in with the Root Rider army with the recall. So the intention is you're going to walk in with your RC, take out a portion of the base to set your funnel. Then you're going to use your queen and siege barracks to start the other funnel while you kind of go in with the rest of your smash. Let's check his. So the first thing I would say, so he has the Diggy and the Warden, which is fine. And he has, okay, so for this strategy, I think you're supposed to be using the haste vial instead of the hogs for two reasons. One, it'll allow you to create your funnel faster and just give your RC just more auto attacking. And then two, you have the option. You can use it at the beginning to help create this funnel faster and then recall out, or you could use it later. But the passive stats from it are a lot better for your RC because you're going to re-add your RC as one of the main damage dealers for your Root Rider smash. So you do want to make your RC stronger rather than having the extra protection from the hogs. There's no point of having the hogs because the Root Riders and the healers are supposed to basically do what the hogs are going to be doing. So that's the first thing I think that went wrong with this attack. The second thing is when we look at this base is from 2 seasons ago, I think, that something like that General X was using. It was very common in Legends League. And the reason it was so common is because if you don't trigger this invis and you don't warden ability around this core, then you're likely to 1-star, right? And for Legend League defenders, that was, amazing if you were able to get a 1-star defense because of how many trophies you would save in that case. So here, the Fire Spitters are this way. His approach is going to be to enter in on this mortar, and the RC is either going to walk down this way or walk up this way towards the ricochet cannon. The ideal state is that your RC walks down this way because you want to take out this Fire Spitter more than taking out this little compartment here. But if you do walk up this way, I would invest all my invises to try and just trigger this Giga Bomb if possible, and then recall out, right? Once the Giga Bomb starts the animation of exploding, then I would recall my RC out. But let's get into this attack and sort of see what went wrong here. Okay, so here's the RC charge, and we're gonna invis at 56. Good. Take out a bomb tower, and then now we're on the expo. Nothing else is happening right now, which should be the case. You should be focusing. Little unfortunate that the Fox sort of stays outside the ring. The RC goes up. Okay, so here he still has an extra invis, so he's gonna probably use one more. Does he use one more? No, he goes auto invis. Okay, so right here, okay. So I think a mistake there is once that ricochet cannon went down, he only has one invis left. There was no way he was going to take down this monolith, especially running the hog equip. So he should have just recalled out because his Fox was still alive at that point. So he could have gotten out his Fox and his RC, and then later heal it with the Warden when he starts his smash. Okay, so that's the first thing that sort of went wrong. And okay, Skelly Spell is a little bit early. Nothing is even dropped in terms of troops yet. So he's dropped the Skeleton Spell already. You want to, in my opinion, you want to drop your Root Riders and your army effectively first, and then as they're approaching, then drop your Skeleton Spell so that they're actually protecting for the Root Riders or tanking for the Root Riders. So I think the Skeleton Spell is dropped too early here. Here's the Queen and the Siege Barracks. Let me go back to 1x here. Okay, here comes his army. I know. Also notice, sorry, he had 2 ice golems. I have no idea why. You don't need 2 ice golems for this attack. You would have been better with a headhunter here to take care of this king here, or at least dropped an ice golem in front of your queen so that the king doesn't kill your queen. So that's another adjustment that can be made. The warden ability went off. That's probably too early. Nothing was even attacking it, and this rage in the core hasn't gone off yet. So I think now, around now, would be a good time to warden ability through all this raged up damage. But because he warden ability earlier, right now they're just receiving healing from the warden. He has that super dragon there. Okay, it finally goes down, and then he overgrowths the back side. I think he would have been better off overgrowthing this side with the spitter and the multi, just because he had more troops on this top side, and he actually left this ricochet cannon up. So that's another mistake. You definitely could have overgrowth this ricochet cannon if you're going to overgrowth this side anyway. Ice Golem's fighting that bomb tower. And yeah, look at that. It just comes out of overgrowth, and the troops aren't back yet to even help deal with that. All the healers have gone down, which probably wouldn't have been an issue if the warden ability was delayed closer to the core. And let's see if it's a time fail or is it just damage. Oh yeah, he's going to get stuck behind this wall, and he's not going to have enough to complete that side of it. So those are the adjustments I would make, and I think this would triple. I mean, that army itself is pretty strong, so I think just having the right approach and then minimizing those smaller mistakes, you'll end up with a better result. Also, the queen got like no value. I think that was a big issue here. When the queen got dropped, it got taken out by the king. Like I said, he had 2 ice golems. You know, that's 15 housing space. You could have just brought 2 headhunters instead, and then taken care of that king, and then your queen probably would have stayed alive the whole raid and taken these buildings out by reaching over the walls. All right, into the next attack. The attack we're going to be covering is done by my clanmate Morganic. He's coming in with the dragon, so similar army to the one I showed earlier with the RC walk, and then the only difference is instead of reviving, he's using a recall. So that's the main difference. It's the same army I think that Ruiz uses. So I think the idea is he's gonna walk in with his RC. I'm gonna be blunt. There's a lot of things that go wrong with this attack. But I'm gonna try and stop the video when those are happening to explain why it goes wrong. But let's just go ahead and press play, and then let's talk about what sort of happens that I think should be adjusted here. Okay, here we go. Let's get into the attack. Oh my god, has nothing happened? Okay, so I think that's already so that's the first mistake. The first mistake is he drops his RC at the top here, and his RC has to run all the way down to this wizard tower. So basically, if he had just dropped the RC right next to the wizard tower instead, the first, 4 seconds of invis that the fox gives you would have been used to take down this wizard tower. But instead, he's literally just going to walk for like 2 or 3 of those seconds to get to the wizard tower. And then look at that. He literally eats 3 monolith shots before he drops his first invis. That's crazy. When you're RC walking and you're near a monolith, you need to be protecting your RC, especially when you're holding 10 invis spells. You should not be letting your RC eat monolith shots. So that's another big mistake. His RC is already on red health, and all that his RC has done is taken down a wizard tower. Okay, let's continue the attack here. Bomb tower, so that's going to damage his troops. Okay, he's in a good pathing into the monolith, so that's really good. And then, again, just being too greedy with the invis, not dropping it soon enough, eating damage from the expo and the ricochet cannon. Okay, here's where the biggest problem happens. His ability goes off, and he starts spearing. So the first spear takes out the air defense, great. He's got a recall here. you got to recall your RC out, because that's the whole point of the recall. The recall is to take your RC and then drop it later where it's out of range of defenses. So for example, if he had recalled it there and dropped it, like, let's say like down here next to this army camp, his spears could take this out, and this out, let's say, right? And that's a lot of air, that's a lot of damage against your army. Or even like take this out and take this out. And that's a lot of damage taken off. But instead, he just sits here and keeps invising, and like, well, look what he's shooting. He's shooting the ice golems. So he literally just shot 6 spears into 2 different ice golems. Oh, hit another ice golem. One more invis. Don't know why. And then he 2 shots onto an expo, another invis, and let's see if he recalls out or not. Oh no, he's just continuing his walk. I don't get the point of the recall then. I don't know what you're gonna do when you recall. Oh, saves his RC there with the recall. Okay, so pretty bad value with the spears there. I'm not sure what he arrowed out. I think he got an air defense and maybe a little bit of funneling. Okay, and then sure, drop your queen, and then he drops the healers with his queen. That's completely fine. And then, okay, this is the next problem. Look at this. Look at what's gone on this base. So like this whole area is gone, and he still chooses to enter here on a single archer tower, a builder hut, and an inferno tower. But he still has like look at this side is pretty heavily defended. This side's heavily defended. On his warden, he's running the rage with the eternal tome. And let's see, is he going to run a blimp here? It's going to be a big mistake if he runs the blimp to the town hall here. Okay, there's his warden. Okay, so this army looks pretty strong, which is good. Let's see here. Big problem because the sweeper is facing literally on his whole army, so he should have entered on the back side of it somewhere. I'm guessing he's going to warden ability in the core here. So that's why it's a mistake. When you warden ability, you want it so that like your army is fighting the tougher parts of the base. Right now, I don't think his army is fighting anything other than a sweeper and the town hall, and is walking into these multi. So you want to be using the ability like further down here. I'm not sure why he even used the ability, because his blimp would have made it. Look at the HP on it, and look how far it is already. His blimp would have just made it without the ability here, so he didn't even need to use it. He probably could have delayed it and then like used it later on. The main print ability is fine, and so now he's invising his dragons, which I'm not sure about that. That's fine. So let's see what happens down here. He's gonna eat a ton of damage from this new defense here, the new merge defense, so that kills a few dragons. This fire spitter is going to gobble up his dragons as well, so again, another reason why he shouldn't have approached from that top side. He approached straight into the fire spitter instead of from behind it. So he had the fire spitter facing that way, and he had the air sweeper facing that way. If you're an air attacker and you approach that way, then that's pretty stupid. And then that single cooks his minion prince, and yeah, I think he gets like a 95 or something like that. If he had just come from this side, he would have taken out the single easily. He wouldn't have had to eat the damage from the fire spitter, and he probably would have 3-starred this base. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on the approach on this base and why I think the attack went badly. Okay, it's one more attack, and then I think I'm going to call it a video. All right, last attack to cover, and look who we have again. It's your boy Morganic. Starting off with a naked blimp. That obviously is not going to make it far, but I think, let's see, he has four clone spells, so he must be using the clone for the Yeti trick. I mean, you could have just dropped, I think he should have just dropped one dragon, dropped the Yeti right here, and then he could have cloned like here all the way into the base, and he actually would have ended up getting more value, because the whole point of the Yeti clone trick is to clone the Yeti mites, and I think we're about to see him clone a bunch of Yetis here, which is definitely not what you're supposed to be doing. He also pulls the ice golems out, So those are gonna freeze your Yeti / Yeti mites, so that it just makes them get even less value. So he gets the town hall here, it looks like, and yeah, then most of that gets cooked. So again, I think he just wasted a siege machine there. He could have just dropped his Yeti here, and then he would have gotten the same value, if not more, by just strictly cloning Yeti mites. And then let's see where he comes in from. So he drops a dragon up there. He drops his queen down here. Has his queen shot the arrow yet? It did. And then he approaches from this side. I don't know. I mean, the sweeper, again, is right here. And so, again, he's coming straight into a sweeper and straight into a fire spitter. I mean, this fire spitter on this side is gone. So, I mean, in theory, it's better if he comes from this side because at least he's not facing a fire spitter. But he chose to come in on this side, which, again, just doesn't make any sense on why he would do that. But I guess that is why you fail more often than not if you have the wrong approach. Queen is doing fine over there. Let's see, what is it on his RC? So he has a spear in his RC. Where's his RC anyway? Is it deployed? Don't tell me he deployed in the middle of this army here. He did. What's right here? Now he's standing in the middle, shooting his spears. His RC just ate that. Oh, look at his dragons get cooked by the sweeper and the fire spitter. This is exactly why you don't come in on this side. Yeah, I mean, I think with the RC, you're not supposed to send it in to the middle. In the middle of the army, you're supposed to just kind of hold it, and then you maybe drop it on the backside to take like these things out at the back here, instead of with your army. So that probably would have helped his attack. Again, I think the fail all happened when he decided on which side to approach from. After that whole Yeti bomb clone thing, that didn't get too much value because he used all of his spells and only took out a small portion of the base. I think he should have gone in from this side, behind the air sweeper. Yes, there's an air sweeper on this side, but at the very least he would have taken out the fire spitter and not be running into all that damage. I think that probably would have made the difference. I'm not even sure. I think a combination of just misusing the clones there and the approach led to this. I mean, sub 90% in this meta, to me, it's pretty. I mean, it is what it is, but if you guys want to play in a Champs 2 league, I think you basically have to be tripling almost every attack. And, 99 time fail, sure, but I think anything sub 90 is pretty bad. Anyway, that concludes today's video. Hopefully this was helpful. Catch you in the next one.